that.
And a tennis fanatic too. So when Martina, I'm really screwing this link out, never mind. When Martina Navratilova flew into Britain this weekend, who better to send to interview her than our own Cliff Richard? It seemed like the perfect match.
Hi, well, right behind me is BBC's broadcasting house. Now, I normally enter those doors to be interviewed, but today the trainer is on the other foot because Richard and Judy of this morning have asked me if I would in fact do an interview with someone I've been a great fan of for many, many years. None other than Martina Navratilova, and I cannot wait.
Martina, there isn't a tournament in England at the moment, but you're here, and I know you're not on holiday. You're here, in fact, to launch a brand new book called The Total Zone. Yes. I want to know how the dickens, as a tennis player of your stature, get the idea and then have the time to write a book.
Well, that's the whole thing. I didn't get the idea and I didn't write it.
So that makes it really easy.
The idea came from the writer, Liz Nichols, and I think originally she actually was pitching Chris to do it, and for some reason Chris didn't want to do it. Chris Everett, that is.
Yeah.
And when it was pitched to me, I thought it sounded like fun to do something while I was still playing. And that's why I needed the writer, because I didn't have the time to write it myself, but I could certainly help put it together.
Because I must admit, all the sort of backstage tennis stuff would all come from you, of course.
Absolutely.
Did Liz allow you to have any ideas thrown in for the plot, or was
that... yeah, actually, we did the plot independently, and then when we met, they were very similar.
Oh, really?
And then, of course, the plot is about a young teenage daughter, phenom, who sort of gets pushed into the game by her parents, and has a big fight with them, etc. And then about half a year later, after we came up with the plot, Mary Pearson, her father, sort of came into the forefront.
That's right.
And then the book came out later, so people said, oh, you know, they just wrote what happened, and we actually wrote it before it happened. So.
Well, because you've been so close to the game, of course, you kind of seen that, haven't you? I mean, you must have seen that with young players coming along. But I want to know, I mean, it's not autobiographical at all, is it? I mean, I just wonder if M for Mariska stands for M for Martina.
No, it's too obvious. I mean, there's a little bit of me in a couple of characters, and that's one of them, but...
because she's described as brutal, but honest.
She's pretty ruthless.
Yes, but you do get the impression by, I mean, I've met you a number of times, and I know that you're not a ruthless person, but on the court, people like yourself and Lendl, and some of the top players that I've seen, it does appear that way, that really there's nothing else except that.
Well, you have to, I mean, it can be said it's ruthless, but, you know, what's the option? Losing?
Well, yes, you're right. That's the other shot.
You may feel sorry for your opponent, but you would certainly feel more sorry for yourself if you lose. So, you know.
But you'd still rather beat them love and love than be love and love yourself.
Well, you don't want to be. Well, I used to when I was beating somebody really badly. I wanted to lose a couple games, but not make it obvious, so they wouldn't know that I'm giving it to them. But just because it was terrible to get beaten 0-0. I've been beaten 6-love, 6-love, and it's horrible.
Who by?
Oh, in juniors, you know. Actually, Chris beat me one time in the final of a tournament. She beat me 6-love, 6-love.
Did she really?
Yeah, and she didn't give me a game, and really made me mad. Because I thought if the situation was reversed, I could back up just a little bit, so she would win 1 or 2 games, and then I'd finish it off. But then it happened. Now I'm just winning matches any which way I can. I don't care what the score is. You know, I'm winning in 3 sets most of the time because the kids were too good these days.
Well, they are pretty darn good, aren't they? You know, as a fan of tennis, I do play, and I know the pleasure I get from winning a point. And I play people that usually beat me. I mean, I hardly ever win tennis. I just play for fun. So I'm dying to know, what was it like, Martina, if you can remember back that far, because it was a long time ago when you first won Wimbledon. I mean, was it what you expected, or was there a letdown?
The moment I won it was everything I expected and more. The next day or 2 days or 3 days later, it was a lot less. Because I thought the world was going to stop and say, wow, Martina won Wimbledon, and they didn't give a hoot.
Some of us did.
They didn't, you know, the stock exchange went on, and the wars went on, and everything went on as previously. They really didn't care whether Chris or Martina won. So
now, when you play in the future, obviously the pressure's off you. But I've noticed that in the past, whenever I've watched you play, and I've watched you play a load, it seems to me that it's been really important that you've had a bunch of friends who have kind of supported you through it. I mean, that you can look at, wave at. And I don't know if you remember this, but it made my decade. You were playing on court 2 at Wimbledon, and I was sitting in about the 2nd row. I can't remember who your opponent was, and your friends weren't there, and you caught my eye, and I was suddenly aware that every time you hit a good shot, you looked at me and I went like that. And now, you probably don't remember it, but it made my decade to think, and I suddenly thought, how important is it that you have somebody that you can turn to and go, bad call, or...
I think it's important just to have that one contact there. because even playing exhibitions, I still like to look at somebody for some, not rapport necessarily, I guess rapport, not support, but rapport, so that I can communicate with them just with my eyes. You know, this is terrible, or that was fun, or, you know, isn't this a horrible place, or whatever. Just to have that connection, because otherwise you're completely on your own.
Well, Martina, what can I say? It's been a pleasure to talk to you. Good luck with this book, and good luck with the other 2 books. And I'm dying to know, on your last singles match at Wimbledon, you bent down and you plucked a piece of the grass. Is it still alive, and where is it?
Well, it's a little brown. It's in my jewelry case.
Is it? You're going to keep that forever?
Of course.
You should. I think you should. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, he did that really well. Forget the singing, Cliff. Be an interviewer.
Career. Absolutely.